Greetings in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. This is Albert, the least among the watchmen. Today I want to share a brief overview of the second coming of Christ based on John chapter 11. The last couple of days I've been meditating on John chapter 11. Most of us know that John chapter 11 is about Lazarus dying and the Lord Jesus Christ raising from the dead. So the story goes like this. Lazarus was very sick, and his sisters, Mary and Martha, sent word to Jesus that he is about to die. Then on verse 4 it says there, when he heard this, Jesus said, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Verse 5, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. And then verse 6 is so fascinating. It says there, yet when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was for 2 more days. In verse 17, on his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. So 2 things in that chapter. Why did the Lord Jesus Christ stay for 2 more days knowing that Lazarus was sick? And the second is, when he arrived, Lazarus was already in the tomb for 4 days. Are these numbers very significant? So my question is John chapter 11 prophetic? The fact that the Lord Jesus Christ mentioned something about the resurrection of the dead and the translation of the saints in the last days, I think it is prophetic. He said in verse 25 and 26, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die. These are prophetic words for the last days. So I believe John chapter 11 is prophetic. My point is, in verse 6 comes the question, why did the Lord delay his visit to Lazarus for 2 days? Why not 1 day? Why not 3 days? Why not 4 days? Why not half a day? Why is it 2 days? Is this 2 days a very significant number? This 7-day week corresponds to the 7,000 years of human history, or the 7,000 years of God's plan for the ages. So each day corresponds to 1,000 years. That's like what Peter said in 2 Peter 3:8. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. Same thing with what Moses said in Psalms 90 verse 4. For 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by. This 7 week or 7,000 years of human history are God's plan for the ages. From Adam to Enoch is the first day, which corresponds to 1,000 years. And from Enoch to Abraham is 1,000 years, that is the second day. And the third day is from Abraham to Solomon. And from Solomon to Jesus Christ is the 4th day, that's another 1,000 years. The 5th day is the 1,000 years again from Christ to the Dark Ages. And from the Dark Ages to the second coming of Christ is another 1,000 years. And then the 7th day, which is the Sabbath day for the Lord where he rested, is the millennial reign of Christ. It is another 1,000 years. And on the 8th day, which is a new day, is the fullness of time, where there's going to be a new heaven and new earth. From Jesus Christ's first coming to his second coming. That is 2,000 years. So now the answer to the question, why did the Lord delay his visit to Lazarus for 2 days? Because the 2 days equals to the 2,000 years time delay visit of the Lord Jesus Christ to the nation of Israel as the conquering Messiah. Now let's take a look at this timeline that I made based on John chapter 11. On the Lord's first coming to this world, he was rejected by the nation of Israel because the nation of Israel was expecting a conquering Messiah. But he came as a suffering Messiah based on Isaiah 53. That's why in Daniel prophesied that the Messiah will be cut off. So the Lord was crucified, died, and then after 3 days he resurrected from the dead. And after 40 days he ascended to heaven, I believe in 31 AD. And based on John 11:6, Jesus delayed his visit to Lazarus for 2 days. And I believe that 2 days corresponds to the 2,000 years time delay visit of him to the nation of Israel. Because when the Lord ascended to heaven, he was glorified. He could have already come back on that same day when he ascended to heaven. But he delayed his second coming for one reason, because he wants the church to be born when he ascended to heaven. So when he ascended to heaven in 31 AD, he delayed his coming for 2 days. That equals to 2,000 years. So he's supposed to come back in 2031 AD. So when you look at this timeline from Abraham to his second coming, that equals 4,000 years. According to John 11:17, when Jesus came to Lazarus, he was already in the tomb for 4 days. And I believe that equals to the nation of Israel waiting for the Messiah to come for 4,000 years. So from Abraham to the second coming of Christ is 4,000 years or 4 days. And from Christ's ascension to his second coming, or 2 days time delay visit to Lazarus, that equals to the 2,000 years delay of Christ coming as a conquering Messiah.